Welcome back everyone, it's Charlie. This will be my full Alien Earth Episode 7 video. There were a whole bunch of Easter eggs, references, whole bunch of WTF moments, so we'll break them all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. As many jokes as we've been making since they brought all the specimens to the island, they really did go full Jurassic Park this week. Wendy's Xenomorph is acting a little bit like Blue during the Jurassic World movies to Chris Pratt, although Wendy is a little bit more like the alien queen in this scenario because it is treating her like its mother. Like the Xenomorph has full-on imprinted on Wendy, I think the real question is, can she also control the other new chestburster that emerges during this episode, Arthur's chestburster? My assumption is probably yes, eventually. Speaking of which, we also got a lot of answers about what Kirsch's master plan has been this whole time and why he's seemingly been lying to Boy Cavalier about knowing exactly what Morrow has been up to. The episode title was Emergence, a reference to Arthur's chestburster literally emerging from his chest. Also, you could think of it as the emergence of the hybrids coming out of the facility too. There are a lot of things emerging in this episode, and it also seems like Eyeball Creature is going to be emerging into another human host soon. Maybe even Boy Cavalier, although he also just hatched his own plan for this for another human host with seemingly Wendy's brother, Hermit. We will dig into that later in the video as we get to that part of the episode. R.I.P. Arthur, pour one out for him. We all knew that he was dead the minute that chestburster got him. The opening montage under the titles this week recapped the previous episodes like it has every single week, and this time it ended on a scene of the new Xenomorph's tail, just to foreshadow all the killing that it did after it broke out onto the island, Wendy turning it on all the Weyland Yutani. They begin the episode with Slightly just kind of going through it, trying to survive this mentally, watching the facehugger on Arthur under his bed. It's quiet so you can actually hear the facehugger's breathing sounds. It's really creepy sounding. Notice he's sitting next to the white tiger stuffed animal. The actual actor here in real life starred in a movie called White Tiger, so I think that's just meant to be a literal reference to that. Love how he tries to show that he's not trying to be a bad dude here, like he doesn't think of himself as evil, like he feels like he's doing this because he has to. Morrow gaslit him, and he is still really just a little kid, so you can't blame him that much. Like a little kid would, he tries to feed Arthur under the facehugger without realizing that it's bad for him. The facehugger essentially provides all the nutrients that its host needs for the procedure to complete, for the chestburster to eventually emerge, but because Slightly has no idea what the life cycle of a xenomorph is, he continues trying to feed it, causing the facehugger to react by tightening around Arthur's neck and then the fluid he poured in his mouth coming back out. Smee then busts into his room because he's already figured out that he's done something weird. Slightly, probably one of the worst liars you'll ever see. Also Smee as well. There are a couple of moments like that during the episode they use for comedy where they're just absolutely terrible, terrible liars. And can clearly see Arthur under his bed, then having a proper freak out. Notice when Slightly hoists him up on his wall demanding his help, he's right next to the See No Evil monkey in frame. Very ironic, but they did that on purpose. Smee wishing he had not seen that. At this point in the episode, they seem like they still both believe that Arthur will be fine after this, based on what Morrow has told Slightly, like it'll just be a couple days, then the facehugger will go away and he'll be fine. So most of the episode for the two of them is basically a big weekend at Bernie's adventure, secreting the body to the beach, with Kirsch's help. If we're making classic Jurassic Park references, Arthur and the chestburster would be like the can of dinosaur DNA samples that they try to sneak off the island to the boat dock. There was also a boat dock in this too, with Wendy's group as well. Many, many connections to Jurassic Park.
The more we move the specimens, the more spread out they are, the less we can guarantee containment.
My assumption is that they baked all those into the show on purpose, like knowing that people would just be thinking a lot about Jurassic Park when all this stuff was happening. Elsewhere, Kirsch goes to the containment lab with the alarms finally going off. We were complaining about that last week, like why aren't there alarms going off when all this stuff is going crazy? Probably because Kirsch prevented them from going off. You remember that he saw everything go down on the monitors, so none of this is a surprise to him, although he does seem like he feels like it's unfortunate, this damage here. But you remember, he doesn't experience emotions or attachment the way that the hybrids do or organic human beings do. So it's not like he misses Toodles or he feels bad that Toodles died. Notice we see the flies still drinking from him, R.I.P. Toodles. Then the cast and crew have revealed that they call the eyeball creature the eyeball midge on set because they did gender it female, but you can call it whatever you want. Wendy's Xenomorph also hanging out in its cage, waiting it seems like, just monitoring everything. One of the other flies tries to disable the alarms and lock system controlling the room by spitting its acid on it so that it can escape the lab itself, which is a smart move. Like they've said that all the alien creatures here are smart to different degrees. Eyeball Midge is probably the smartest of all the alien creatures, but they're all meant to be intelligent. So a lot of people were talking about this last week, like why don't they just spit up acid on all the controls here and just short out all their locks? Cut to this episode, and it does exactly that, but because Kirsch is there, they're able to trap it and put it back into its containment facility. I spent a lot of this part of the episode just watching Boy Cavalier's reaction just to see what he was thinking when this was all going down, and like you would expect, he's mostly just fascinated at the fly's actions in the whole science of it all, just like the grand experience, like, wow, that is an interesting thing that happened, a sequence of events. He personally doesn't feel bad about Toodles dying, only about losing the $6 billion potentially. Typical tech bro. The way that Kirsch talks about it, it's theoretically possible to reload and reboot Toodles' mind so they can effectively bring him back to life, but they have not practically cracked the procedure yet. Maybe Wendy can do something with her tech wizardry to help that, because she uses more tech wizardry in this episode, so it just seems like she has some weird abilities they haven't fully explained yet on the show. Kirsch then directly blames Toodles' death on the iMidge, saying that they orchestrated it because they watched the tape, and Cavalier also absolutely fascinated now by the eyeball creature. Like, whoa, we need to focus on the eyeball creature now. Like, he's way more interested in eyeball than he is on the hybrids, even though he's pissed off about what's happened to the hybrids. Has them move Eyeball Midge to another containment facility where he just spends the rest of the episode when he's not interrogating other people, staring at it, communicating and calculating pi with it, just broing over. Wendy comes into the lab because remember, she's still trying to learn to communicate with the Xenomorph, so she's been coming in regularly to talk to it. Notice how it perks up when she enters the room, like it detects her agitation when she realizes Toodle was killed and sort of responds to her emotions. That's kind of the way the alien hives work with the queen, where they're all sort of tuned to the queen's wishes and her emotions. Like when the queen gets pissed off, the hive gets pissed off. Notice when Kirsch tries to explain Toodles' death, saying science happened because it's all cause and effect to him, just like a big experiment to him. He doesn't think about it in sentimental terms. Notice how they transpose the Xenomorph over her skull when she's thinking that they're not safe and they need to get out of here, sort of like she's getting ready to tell the Xenomorph and it's sensing that it's time to go, which she then literally turns to it and clicks at it like, yeah, definitely time to go. Starts banging its head on the glass, freaking Boy Cavalier out. You remember though, Kirsch does not freak out because he doesn't have emotions, so he doesn't experience fear that way. Theoretically, it should be impossible to make him afraid of anything. They then find out what Arthur did, turning the trackers off on all the hybrids, freaking Boy Cavalier out even more. This is probably the first time we've ever seen him this agitated before. Her brother finds her in her room and tells her how Arthur helped them turning the trackers off and agrees to her plan to try and bring the other hybrids with them as they escape. Then they set up what seems like is going to be Curly's betrayal. Wendy finds Curly with Nibs. She's mad at Wendy for telling Nibs the truth about her memories, who seems like she's started to lose her mind again, so to speak, over the episode with that stuffed animal cat that she had with her when she got aggressive with Dame Sylvia. Everybody say hello to Mr. Strawberry, R.I.P. Mr. Strawberry, who also seems like he gets destroyed at the end of the episode. When she says she has all of her memories, that's a lie, clearly. Like, she's probably just mentally blocking them out the way a kid would block out a bad memory. Like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not missing anything. They didn't take any of my memories. Just to be clear, though, she didn't get the memories back. She's pretending like she never had them in the first place. When Wendy argues with Curly about Boy Cavalier not being their friend and all these bad things not being Wendy's fault, just feeling like a setup for Curly to betray her, which we see later when she curls up with Dame Sylvia like, Mom, I don't know what to do, it's complicated, I'm afraid. I think the whole idea, though, is they want to give Curly an out so that you sympathize with her a little bit. Like, it's not meant to be an evil betrayal. You're meant to understand why she does it. Just because, you remember, all these hybrids are still little kids, so the way they react to things, like the irrational way that they do things because of all this trauma, is meant to feel real. Like, if there were a group of actual little kids experiencing this, it would be an absolute nightmare of chaos. Only real difference here is that all the little kids are effectively in super bodies with superpowers. There were a lot of theories earlier that Curly might be the one to betray the group because she was jealous of Wendy and wanted to be Boy Cavalier's favorite, but when she starts talking to her like, this is the best place I've ever been, I don't want to leave this place. If you actually see a lot of traumatized kids or kids from families whose parents abuse them, sometimes you will actually see the kids try to stand up for their abusive parents just because their child brains haven't fully developed and they can't really process everything that's happened to them properly, and all they really want is to be loved. So they'll just seek that out and they'll just ignore all the bad stuff that's happened to them. So it's not totally unusual for Curly to be so obsessed with Boy Cavalier and wanting to stay on the island just because she feels like it's the best place she's ever been, and she doesn't care that it feels kind of abusive, like she's just blocking that out of her mind. Nibs then declares they're all going to die, then the bugs will crawl on them and they'll be ghosts. The bugs are probably a reference to what happened with Toodles with the actual flies, killing him and then drinking him. Wendy then makes Curly promise not to tell on them, which she probably did to Dame Sylvia when she curled up with her. And we see Wendy manipulate the computer systems, opening the Xenomorph's cage. Thanks for the assist, Mom, and RIP to all those scientists. Makes pretty quick work of them, like you know exactly what's going to happen after this. Cavalier then interrogates Dame Sylvia, who's still sad about what happened with Arthur, not knowing what has recently happened to him with the facehugger. They believe that she had something to do with all the chaos. In the way the actress who plays Dame Sylvia talked about her actions in the previous episode, betraying her husband Arthur, is that she said that she was doing that, or her character was doing that, because she cared so much about the kids and didn't want to be taken away from them because she was worried about what the company would do with them if she weren't around. So the whole idea is that the kids are more important to her than her job or Boy Cavalier, so she also might try to redeem herself by doing something good in the finale to help the hybrids.
I promise.
Somebody is also probably going to clue her in to what actually happened to Arthur in the finale, so it's not like she's going to end the season without knowing that her husband is dead. Cavalier then gets even madder when he sees the Xenomorph killing everyone on the security feed, instantly realizing that Wendy is responsible, probably not his favorite anymore. Then there's a bit of a funny moment with Kirsch where he actually catches Smee and Slightly and they play it as if they think they're in trouble, but he actually tries to hurry them along the way, helping them with their plan. Like, no, you're going the wrong way. It's faster to the beach that way. Make sure you go. You're not going to get there in time. Now we know when he said you're not going to get there in time, he was talking about how much time it would take for the chest burster to actually emerge. If you really think about it though, even if they hadn't gotten lost on their way to the beach, they still probably would not have made it in time. So Arthur was going to die no matter what. Like Morrow wasn't going to try and save his life. The chest burster was going to come out and they were going to capture the chest burster and that was it. They were just going to leave Arthur's body on the beach when they found him. But now we know Kirsch's complete master plan and his gambit that he was playing. So the whole idea is that he was playing four-dimensional chess with Morrow this whole time, trying to entrap him and also get himself another Xenomorph. Finders keepers, nobody likes a sore loser. So essentially, he was just playing a grand game with Morrow or against Morrow this whole time. Just think of Slightly and Smee as chess pieces on his board. So everything that happened with Toodles in the lab in the eyeball midge were completely separate event, not connected to his gambit with Morrow in the chest burster. So if it wasn't clear, it's not that Kirsch was trying to betray Boy Cavalier or Prodigy or anything like that. He just wanted another chest burster and also wanted to get a one-up on Yutani and Morrow. We'll probably be talking more about this in the next week, but the whole idea is that if things went well, like if things did not devolve into chaos, which they definitely will in the finale, I think the idea is that they get their other chest burster and then Boy Cavalier uses these events and the captured Morrow to bargain way more money out of Yutani, and they would just settle it with lawyers and more money. That's kind of the way that the 5 different corporations that rule Earth do things, is they settle all their beefs with lawyers and money. That's kind of the vibe when Kirsch gets Morrow dead to rights and they trap him in the building like, haha, don't be a sore loser. Wendy's group then visits the graves where all the human bodies of the kids were buried. Notice they got all philosophical here on what it actually means to be human. We've talked about this in pretty much every single episode. Like, did they actually copy the children's souls, their essences, or did they just copy the data to a bunch of AI brains that then think that they're humans running around? Are the hybrids a new stage of human evolution, or are they just AI brains running around? One of the funny things, though, is that you ask different members of Wendy's group here, they give you different answers. So Wendy seems to think that she is like the next stage of evolution, like she is the new Wendy, she is herself, but she's something more, too, the way that Kirsch talked about her being beyond humanity. Kirsch had a whole conversation with her brother about that, too, like your sister is destined for much greater things, exploring the stars over the next 1,000 years. But then you see Nibs, who seems like she believes that she is dead, like, nope, I'm definitely dead. So it's like Nibs saying that the hybrids are not actual people. Then they use Slightly and Smee for a bunch more comedy when they prove that they are still the world's worst liars when Arthur's facehugger dies, coming off, completing its task, and they're in that brief period before the chestburster has actually emerged, and Arthur slowly starts remembering things and realizes that they're lying to him, like, whoa, something's up, you need to tell me the truth. And to his credit, Arthur is like the world's most understanding dad-like figure. Like, you feel very comfortable, like, okay, yes, I've done something bad, but we'll figure it out together, don't worry. Just as the chestburster emerges, completely traumatizing both of the kids.
He said that he was gonna be okay.
Smee looks like he is never gonna be right, ever again. Slightly seems like he had mentally dissociated a long time ago because of what Morrow had been doing, so like he's already on another planet mentally, so that's why he's not quite as seemingly traumatized by the chestburster emerging. Everybody rate Arthur's chestburster on a scale of freakiest chestbursters in Alien canon. There have been a lot of really good ones. Then regular chestburster behavior, it rushes off into the bushes to escape, caught by Kirsch's group who's been monitoring everything they've been doing every step along the way. And Smee now pissed off at Slightly for betraying him because he didn't tell him about the actual chestburster. Also seems like Slightly didn't know that much about it either. Morrow told him that Arthur would be fine as well, so it's not like Slightly was lying to Smee about that. But you start to see how this trauma has been messing them up big time, because typical little kid logic, Slightly thinks that if he brings Morrow Arthur's body even without the chestburster, everything will be fine and he'll let his mother go. If you've ever seen a little kid try to deal with traumatic events, all logic in their brains just completely fly out the window, so of course there's no way that they'd be thinking clearly in a situation like this. They would have no solid contingency plan the way an adult would. Really good comparison to make would be Morrow, who's cool as a cucumber when he hears how things have gone off the rails. He immediately has a contingency plan. Like I said, though, you can't be too mad at them because I don't think that there was any way that they were going to make it to Morrow's team in time for the chestburster. Like, Arthur was always going to die no matter what. When Morrow refuses to answer Slightly about letting his mother go, I think Morrow is still planning on keeping her as long as he thinks that she's useful or he needs a card to play if he wants to use Slightly. You remember he's going to be thrown in containment, he has to escape that containment in some way. They have not taken out that communication device inside Slightly's neck, so Morrow can still talk to Slightly even though he's in that cell. You also feel even worse for Arthur because they just leave his body floating there, sinking beneath the waves as they walk off. So the whole idea is that Morrow's contingency plan 2, is to get Wendy's Xenomorph, which he thinks is inside the containment facility, but it's already broken out since then. Boy Cavalier then fascinated by the eyeball while Adam tries to tell him his plan to separate all the specimens is terrible, which will make it just way more likely that they'll all escape containment. And he's probably right, we have one more episode, they will all probably escape containment in different ways. I feel like there's a lot of foreshadowing in the things that Boy Cavalier says here too. Not just the literal things he says, but I think foreshadowing that eventually Eyeball Midge might wind up using him as its next host. You remember his whole reason for creating the hybrids in the first place was to have a conversation with somebody who he thought was smarter than himself. During this scene, it seems like he's almost forgotten completely about the hybrids, and all he wants to do is just talk to the Eyeball Midge. He speaks a couple different languages, we hear it through the eyeball's perspective, like through the sheep's ears. It's sort of like listening to music through somebody else's headphones. Love the scene of him asking it to calculate pi, which it does by stomping with the sheep's hoof, also taking a dump as if to show how smart it is, and also stick him in the eye like, ha, take that. Like it's trying to show him how much smarter it is than everybody else. Then demands they put it into a person so he can speak with it, and there's a lot of haggling back and forth and talking about putting it into a mold scrubber. Doesn't that remind you of Shmuel in episode 5 where Eyeball Midge was inside him and used him to attack the Xenomorph? We've already seen what Eyeball can do inside an old body.
I know just who to use.
When he says no, changing his mind, he's got a better idea about who to use. I think he's talking about Wendy's brother because the camera cuts directly to a scene of Wendy's brother's face. You remember at the end of the episode, they capture him and bring him back to the facility, so probably after that is when they try to put Eyeball Midge into him. Wendy then detects Morrow's other team, warning them to leave before it's too late because she's gonna kill them with the Xenomorph. Notice how Nibs hisses at them as we hear the alien hissing in the background. I love the way they transpose those. She even kind of acts like a Xenomorph at the end of the episode when she kills some of the troops. Couple great action scenes with the Xenomorph taking out Morrow's team, though. Nibs looks like she could not be happier, like she loves all this. You just look at her reaction shots through all these different parts of this episode when the Xenomorph starts cozying up with Wendy like a mom with his child. Wendy going full Xenomorph queen. If you watch the episode with subtitles, they also say right after this that the Xenomorph was purring at her like a cat. To make the Game of Thrones reference, it's a little bit like Daenerys with her dragons. Morrow's team now basically cut in half. Then Kirsch reveals his master plan the whole time. Like I said, I already kind of explained that. He is the one who winds up capturing the chestburster in the net because he'd been tracking Slightly and Smee the whole time. So I think that he was just using a drone to follow them and then turned and started following the chestburster once it emerged. They have their gunslinger standoff moment when he says, "This isn't over," and Kirsch says, "Nothing ever is." I think Kirsch is saying is meant to be a reference to something that happened a long time ago we might find out about in the finale. But I also think it's a bit of a wink forward at the other Alien movies, which take place later in the timeline, and you remember in each of those movies, Weyland Yutani is still trying to get more Xenomorphs under their control. So really, the plan never does actually end for them. They throw his team into containment cells, he grounds the hybrids, which is also kind of funny, so we still have our chance for a Morrow versus Kirsch fight in the finale. Also, Morrow still wants to kill Boy Cavalier, and Boy Cavalier still really wants to put Eyeball Midge in someone's body, might wind up being in his body at some point. Wendy's group then makes it to the docks, feels more Jurassic Park references here. Hermit's old team betrays him. I think that's why they had that scene in the previous episode where they were like, "Don't do it, dude. That thing you're thinking about doing, don't do it." When they pop out, they say they knew he was going to try something like this, so they were waiting for him here. One of them messes up big time, though, when it throws Mr. Strawberry in the water, R.I.P. Mr. Strawberry, pissing Nibs off, who does go full Homelander or full Xenomorph. It feels a little bit more like Homelander, though, because she's an actual person, just ripping his face like it's tissue paper. This could have been a scene out of like any season of The Boys where Homelander just gets bored with someone and just starts pulling their face apart. This action scene just reminds you how strong the hybrids actually are. Wendy then tries to alert the Xenomorph to help them. Hermit stops her. It's still out there loose at the end of the episode. Probably still going to try and help its mom a little bit later in the finale. Wendy is now pissed off at him for hurting Nibs with the electrical gun, but he only disabled her, he didn't kill her. But you remember, they're mechanical, so the electrical gun is way harder on them than it is on a biological regular human. This week's episode ends with Song for the Dead by Queens of the Stone Age, which you could say is a reference to all the people who did actually die in the episode. But like I said, I don't think Nibs is actually dead. There were several big deaths though. Generally solid episode, there was a lot going on, so if there's anything that you spotted, any Easter eggs or references that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. My episode 8 trailer video will post next, and my full episode 8 video will post next week after they release it. Whole lot of really big storylines that they have to pay off, like who does Eyeball Midge wind up in? Does she wind up in Boy Cavalier's body? What happens with the other new Xenomorph? Does Wendy also control it? And what happens with the other eggs that have not hatched yet? Now that we've reached the finale in the next week, hopefully they'll finally start talking about Season 2 more. There are a lot of people that claim that Noah Hawley, the showrunner, has already said they're working on Season 2, but I haven't found any official claims from FX about that. Hopefully they'll clarify in the next week. Everybody click here for that Episode 8 video. I'll update the link as soon as I post that, and click here for all my other Alien Earth episodes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.